Welcome to a special Wine to Five bonus episode for International Podcast Day.
It's not 5 o'clock, and they don't care. Welcome to Wine to Five. Entertainment, education, and everyday drinking for everyday people. Your hosts are Valerie Caruso and Stephanie Davis, two wine educators who don't need a clock to know when to pour that next glass.
Yes, as you guys know, this is our second year of podcasting, and we are so excited to celebrate this year. This edition of Wine to Five is all about raising our glasses to the art of podcasting and podcasters everywhere.
So how are we celebrating International Podcast Day?
First, well, we're drinking. Second, we're going to talk about OPP, other people's podcasts. So usually, while we're shamelessly promoting our show for obvious reasons, today we are going to share with you guys some of our favorite podcasting hangouts.
You bet. It's a shout-out palooza. We want you to be involved too, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. But another thing we want to talk about today is that we've been asked so many times how to give an iTunes review or to even subscribe to a podcast. So once we've shared some of these cool shows with you, we're going to give you some resources for sharing and subscribing to your favorite shows and how to find some cool new ones. And then we'll let you know more about how to write reviews and all of that stuff. So, Val, let's get it started. What is in your feed?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say, what's in my glass? No, what's in your feed? So there are at least 20 to 30 podcasts in my feed. So if you guys think we just listen to ourselves talk about ourselves all the time, we don't. So we're going to talk about what we subscribe to, what we drive to, sweat to, and actually sometimes I talk to these podcasts. So yeah, I was like, no, that's not right. Or, hey, wait, you forgot to try this. Or, oh, yay, that's a great idea. But what I listen to, I would tell you first and foremost, I have at least 3 podcasts in my feed. 4 about podcasts.
Yeah, podcasts about podcasts.
Podcasts about podcasts because we're always trying to make ourselves better. So the feed, this is Libsyn's official podcast. That is the first thing that as soon as an episode's released, I'm into. It's already downloaded. I actually downloaded their app and I listen to the feed. So that's Rob and Elsie from Libsyn, and they give us really great tips about podcasting. In fact, we were a featured Rockin' Libsyn podcast last week. We really like them.
Thank you.
She
very
podcast.
much.
I know.
Yes.
Thank you so much to the feed because that is priceless. Learning about how we don't need to freak out about our stats, how to deal with trolls, Rob. That was so cool. And then the second one is She Podcast.
Yeah, I love that one too.
And that comes out on Mondays. Yeah, that's Elsie and Jess. And they're pretty raw, and I dig that. So you got the little red E, and I look forward to listening to them kind of whoop it up every Monday. Because they're, mostly for women podcasters, which in case you haven't noticed, Steph and I are women. So, and we podcast. So we kind of come into that category. We just joined their Facebook group, and a lot of good information to share in there. And then there's Podcasters Unplugged, which is sponsored by Libsyn. So it sounds like a big self-licking ice cream cone. It's not. But this is where Dusty features different podcasters.
Yeah.
Every week, and things you wish you would have known.
I think it's so helpful.
It is very helpful. So I like that one. I gave them a review on iTunes as well. And then I've got Podcast 411, and that's also Rob's Inside the Podcaster Studio. That's also in there.
Nice.
Do you listen to any other podcasts?
I listened to those and Podcraft. I've listened.
Podcraft. That was the first one I ever listened to.
How to podcast. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
that was with Colin Gray, I believe is his name. Colin?
Yep. There's quite a few shows out there, and so I think that's what's kind of cool. I mean, even when, I don't remember if I told you this or not, I was getting my nails done, and the owner of the nail salon said he wanted to create a podcast. So I was telling him to listen to these podcasts about creating your podcast because they really give you a lot of insight on how to do it, what equipment to buy, how to structure your show, all sorts of stuff, how to do a great interview. So it's all out there for people to learn how to do it.
Absolutely. So if you're considering starting one, then those are all really good resources to start with. But sometimes I listen to podcasts just for entertainment, like while I'm cooking.
Yep.
So these are podcasts maybe about drinking.
Maybe
about, yeah, well, okay, they are. So Whiskey Cast. I would say Whiskey Cast. I listened to that one while I was shoveling snow, and I remember tweeting out to Mark Gillespie, who I call that the sexiest voice in podcasting. All right. And the commercials are sexy because, well, a lot of them are Scotch or Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
So Glenmorangie, unnecessarily well made. These sexy commercials. Anything you want to know about whiskey is in Whiskey Cast.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend Whiskey Cast. But I remember tweeting out to Mark last year. I was like, it took me 2 episodes of Whiskey Cast to shovel my driveway after a snowstorm. And he's like, well, which ones? Because they're all different lengths. I'm like, well, this one and this one. Turns out it was an hour and a half of snow shoveling.
Yeah, that's some serious snow we got here. I like to, when I shovel snow, I listen to Tim Ferriss.
Tim Ferriss, I like listening to him. I've listened to him while I've shoveled before, and I didn't know about Unwritable Rant last winter, but I listened to her because she comes out on Sundays, and that's just a fun, hey, I'm out there cooking, I'm chopping broccoli or whatever I'm doing. I like listening to her and her stories. Her stories are just... I picture her mostly either when I'm getting ready in the morning or I'm in the kitchen when I'm listening to Juliet Miranda. And she's not for the prudish.
No. And I like her voice, too.
I love her voice. Yeah. Oh, my God. So Juliet Miranda and her man are out there driveway drinking. I'm usually drinking on the front porch. So I totally connect with her. And I do drink a fair amount of whiskey. So I like what she's laying down. I'm picking up what she's laying down. Is that how you say it?
I think so.
But, yeah. But I'm going to make a confession.
Please do.
All right. We like drinking. Y'all know we listen. There are podcasting brothers from another mother. But sometimes I have them on when I'm in the shower.
Not just when you're at the gym.
Oh, no. I have them on downstairs when I'm on the elliptical. I've had them on when I was at the Air Force Academy gym or the Peterson gym on the treadmill. And yeah, one time I was laughing so hard I almost fell out. And they're always making fun of me. I'm like, oh my God, dudes, I almost fell off the treadmill one day. Swiss ball, same thing. I start cracking up in the gym, shopping, cracking up in the dress department at Dillard's, but... Sometimes when I'm getting ready in the morning, I go from the gym and I'll put them on speaker and I'll take that Bluetooth speaker and pop it into my bathroom where I'm taking a shower. And it's like, I hope they can't see me because I feel like kind of like dirty, like listening to them guys while I'm in the shower.
Right.
But yeah, there you go. Jeff, and John. Sometimes when I'm listening to We Like Drinking, I'm naked.
That's hilarious.
There you go. Have a nut.
Yeah. They are going to go to town with that, Val.
It is what it is. What about you? What other entertainment ones do you listen to?
Again, back to the drinking. I like the Guild of Sommeliers wine podcast.
Oh, well, when I'm studying, they're a must-have.
And, it is really quite geeky at times, but, when I want that, that's what I want when I want it. Isn't that why people listen to podcasts? It's like on demand, what you want.
Yes. They're my whoopee. Anytime I would go into a blind tasting, like when I was retaking the CWE as many times as I did, or before I did a diploma exam, I would listen to either their blind tasting episodes, or before I took Fortified Sherry with Peter Liam. Yeah, they're very soothing, their podcasts.
And there's something about it, too. It's kind of like watching a really good, like, PBS documentary or something. It's like you're getting... this, like great information and it's, well researched and it's, like people with a lot of acclaim and, prestige and you're just, okay, I'm getting all this great information.
They know their shit.
Yeah, it's really awesome. So I do like that show. And then for more entertainment, I love The Splendid Table. Not so much about drinking, but about food. And I just love food. I think I'm kind of obsessed about food and wine. So, love The Splendid Table. Lynn Rosetta Casper, she talks about food and makes anything sound delicious.
Very nice. So that's one of the bigger ones. That's the NPR network.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Okay. So, another one that if we go into some of the bigger boys, like Tim Ferriss you mentioned, I like Freakonomics.
Yeah, and I don't listen to that, so tell me about that show.
Well, that one's out of New York, and that's been around for years and years and years. And basically, they kind of deconstruct things, like the economics of sleep. They did one on the two-party political system, or things in politics that should go away, I should say. They've done them on, they'll do just on different things, like why Uber is an economist's dream. Why there are so many mattress stores.
Yeah.
That was an episode. So what about you? What about your other category?
Other category. I don't know if it's not about podcasting or wine or food. I'm always up for something new. Sometimes I don't subscribe. And I was hearing Elsie on the feed kind of talking about this the other day. It's like you just want to download maybe one and check it out. So I'm kind of dabbling a lot in just kind of checking things out. But I do have one that doesn't really fit into any sort of category, and it's the Minimalists podcast.
What is that about?
So it's these two guys that live up there in Montana, and they talk about like living life without so much stuff.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, having less and feeling more like free.
Yeah.
Because it's not just less debt, but it's like less things and, just less of everything and simplifying your life. And, if you can move fairly easily because you haven't accumulated so much stuff and used so many excuses about, oh, this is sentimental, or I may need this one day, or just in case I should have this. And it's just like, really? Do we really need to have all this stuff?
After moving around for 25 years and having to pack stuff up and move it, that's one thing I did learn. I remember when I retired, or if I would go on a deployment or whatever, and I would come back after several months or whatever, and I would go, boy, I've been without this for almost a year. Obviously, I don't need it. And there is nothing more refreshing than I would make a goal to fill up my dumpster and my recycling bin every single week.
Yeah.
Get rid of stuff. Or if it's really big, if it's furniture, if it's something somebody else could use, I would call the Disabled American Veterans. They'll come pick it up.
There's so much joy in knowing that, like, you can give something to somebody else that would want it or need it, or, finding that treasure in somebody else's junk. And you're like, I'm helping somebody else. Like, that gives value in of itself.
Oh, the closet.
Yeah.
I go to the clothes mentor, or first I call my girlfriend. She comes over, picks through what she wants, and then I take it over to the clothes mentor.
Yeah.
Whatever they don't buy, I take it over and donate it, because there's just so much joy in cleaning out that closet.
Yeah.
And not having so much stuff. I don't, and my biggest thing is like, well, this could be worth money. It's only worth what somebody's going to pay for it.
That's right. Yeah.
So, good luck finding a buyer for whatever junk. I agree. I'm going to start listening to that, because I'm all about clear the clutter, clear your mind. What else? What else you got under the other category?
I don't know that I have anything else under the other category. What's kind of cool, though? I mean, I really want to encourage people that there is something out there for anybody. You can search podcasts and put in gardening, meditation, financial advising, whatever. And even oncology nursing. I mean, that's just a nod to my old homies at the cancer center. But, like, literally, there's something for everybody. Like, what are some of the other things that you're listening to?
The big one I'm on right now is Congressional Dish. Mm-hmm. I really like this one because Jen will unravel all those bills, all that congressional law, and all these laws about things that we have no idea about. Like, she did an episode recently on the two-party system.
Okay.
And how it is possible to maybe elect a third-party candidate. And she also will read all these bills. And so a lot of these bills that are badly written, she'll tell you why. She'll tell you why you can actually fire your congressman every 4 years, and why those votes matter.
Yeah.
Probably more than the presidential election. And so to unravel some of these things that are happening in Congress, and she gets a little bit passionate. She does a lot of research. So I really like the Congressional Dish, especially for consumer empowerment or citizen empowerment. And I also like the Right Now podcast with Sarah Werner. So that's about writing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she interviews different authors and, it talks about writing, which is something I really love to do and don't do as well as I want to. And then I listened to one in Italian called News in Slow Italian. So it's just like, it's a little bit like when I was in Italy and I would just listen to the little radio in my apartment.
Yeah.
or just turn the TV on and listen to everything in Italian. But this is the news. And they talk a little bit slower, and there's a free portion. It's about 10 minutes, and then if you pay, you get the rest of the story. So they'll talk about the American election, but they're talking about it in Italian. And to me, it's just like, it's comforting because it reminds me of being in Italy. But,
that's cool.
so those are some of the ones that I have here in my feed. I can't listen to them all.
No.
You know, some of them, but I try. You know, I got a question for you, though. While you're listening to your podcast, where's the weirdest place you've listened to a podcast?
I don't know about weird. I definitely, you were talking about listening in the shower, and sometimes I listen while I'm like putting my face on or putting my makeup on, really. Mm-hmm. It's like there's something about kind of, they can't see you, and you might be in your bra and panties, and you're just kind of getting your face on, but I'm like, I'm going to listen to this. I don't want to put on the music. I mean, you can listen to podcasts anywhere that you would be listening to music.
Yeah.
Or the radio, right? So folding laundry, maybe you're driving, maybe you're putting your makeup on, or you're cooking, or, all of these places we've mentioned. But I don't know that I like, I listen a lot when I'm traveling, for sure. Whether it's by car or airplane, train. I mean, this trip to Italy, I've got a lot of podcasts to listen to, so.
Oh yeah, I can knock out, I don't know, Whiskey Cast is one of those ones because I love Mark's voice so much that I can listen to while I'm traveling, and I'm just like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But I have to say, grocery shopping.
I have not done that yet.
I listen to more of the comedy and entertaining ones while I'm shopping, and I don't know why that is. So whether it's We Like Drinking, whether it's Unwritable Rant, I remember being in the freezer section when Juliet was talking about crucifying a rabbit, and that's an episode you have to listen to. and I remember being in Kohl's picking up a handbag and giggling my ass off at something that Jeff Eccles he was doing an imitation of Jeff Solomon because Jeff Solomon wasn't there. And I'm like cracking up,
right.
Where I was at Sprouts cracking up in the line to pay, and people are looking at you like you're crazy and you got your Bluetooth in. It's crazy. You can listen to it anywhere. You're driving and you're giggling at a red light.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think people don't realize that it is just like whenever you would listen to music, you can listen to a podcast. And it doesn't have to be on long trips, although that is my favorite time, absolutely. When I'm driving down to the Springs to see you, or on my trek back to AZ, and having multiple hours to listen. That's my favorite. Then you can binge.
You can binge. I was just going to say that when I came up to see you in Fort Collins in June, I had the Right Now podcast in with Sarah Werner, and I just went back to the most current episode, and it just binge. So basically what you do in your podcast catcher, which kind of brings us to the next section, you just, click on my podcast, at least if you're on the Apple app, you click on the most current episode, and a lot of times it'll just play them all back for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really any different than when somebody's binge watching a TV series.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I have it set so it goes backward instead of forward. So it'll start with the most current episode and then go backwards, and the same with Whiskey Cast and whatever. So how to subscribe?
Oh, right. Okay, I'm going to how to subscribe. I think it's better for me to be doing it on my phone at the same time.
Right.
I don't have like a step-by-step, so I'm just going to sort of do it and tell everybody.
We have iPhones.
Yeah, we have iPhones. And what we can do is put in the show notes some links to some videos. That might be even better than us just saying how we do it, because it's different for Android phones.
Right. For iTunes, it's easy.
Yeah, you go to the purple podcast thing, you go to search, you go to Wine25, and you find it, and you click on it, and then it says subscribe, and there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are different catchers out there on like Androids or whatever. So on the Android, apparently you have to download different apps.
Right.
So whether it is, say, a Player FM or Google, even if you go to Google Music Play, I believe there are different apps in there as well, different podcast catchers. And we're pretty much on all of them.
Yeah, I don't think there shouldn't be a problem finding us.
And if you're in an Android, yeah, you're going to have to download a podcast catcher. Stitcher is one of them. Mm-hmm. Player FM is one of them. Overcast is another one. So either way, that brings the RSS feed into your feed there, and that's how you can do it. We can put this link on there for you guys. So if you're in Google Play, or if you're in Player FM, or if you're on an iPhone, iTunes is really the easy.
Yeah.
If you're on an iPhone. And we will also put a link in there on how to do an iTunes review, because we've actually had people ask how to do that. And basically, you have to have an iTunes account.
Yeah, and the reason why we appreciate iTunes reviews is because you get higher up in the ranking on iTunes. And then when people are searching for a wine podcast, they're not typing in wine, TWOFIVE, to find us. They're typing in wine. And so there is hundreds of podcasts that show up. But the more reviews we get and the more popular that we get, then we get higher up so that people will be in, they would find us in the top 10.
Yeah. So I would say for National Podcast Day, it would be, or International Podcast Day, it would be really awesome if you aren't subscribed already to some of your favorite podcasts to go out and do that. Whether it's through the iTunes, through the Apple, or through any of the Android apps that are available, and we can link up some of those. We actually have iHeartRadio. That's an easy one. You can download that app. We're on iHeartRadio. Easy.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Click. Done.
Totally.
Discover a new podcast. Let us know what you're discovering. Let us know also the weirdest place you've listened to a podcast. We would love to hear that.
Yeah. Put it on social media. Send it to us. Leave it on our speak pipe. We would love it.
Yeah.
Just let us know where's some of the craziest places you've been listening to a podcast. And I think that's a wrap for this show.
That's a wrap.
And happy International Podcast Day.
Yeah, happy International Podcast Day. We actually have a video for you. We'll go ahead and link that up, but it's also on our YouTube channel. It's also on our blog, and I don't want to hear anything about Val's lighting or her dorky headphones, but there's a reason we podcast and that we don't typically do videos, because, we can do it in our sports bras and sip cocktails and not put on makeup, and it's a really beautiful thing.
That's right, not put our face on.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we hope that you guys will share this Wine25 podcast with your friends and online community, and we certainly appreciate all of your involvement in feedback and subscribing. So leave us a burning wine question or comment, and you could hear it on the show. We'd also love if you would go to the iTunes and do the review that we told you about. iHeartRadio, you can find us there. All of this good stuff we told you about.
Yeah, it's all on our website, too. All these different places you can find us as well. Or just Google Wine25 and you'll find us all over the place. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Pinterest, we're on YouTube, Google+. You can connect with me, Val, on Twitter at WineGallonBox, and on the Vino with Val Facebook page, and on Instagram as Vino with Val. And then Steph, well, you can find her on Twitter at Albarello Soap, and on the Albarello Soap Facebook page, and she's got some really cool videos for Albarello Soap on the YouTube channel as well. So happy International Podcast Day, everybody. Thank you for listening, and we hope you find some really cool podcasts soon. So until next week, cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Wine25 podcast. Be sure to check us out at Facebook/WineTWO5, and tune in next week for more fun and useful sip tips.